Hello, I'm going to show you how we predict baseball batting performance using vibrational astrology. We believe that we can actually predict behavior using astrology. This is a mind-boggling idea, shocking to many people, even shocking to some astrologers who are very skeptical that you could predict actual behavior using astrology. And our research indicates that we can, and we're getting closer and closer to being able to do what's called a hypothesis test to validate these ideas. Okay, let me show you what we've determined so far. The idea for predicting athletic performance is two steps. Number one, we find the planetary pattern in the birth chart that gives athletic ability. So if someone's an incredibly great athlete, we're going to be looking at the birth chart and making forecasts for Ted Williams, one of the greatest baseball players of all times. Then we figure, we figure there must be something in his astrology chart that gives him the potential to be such a great player. We find it's a planetary pattern, and then when that planetary pattern is activated, meaning when the planets in the sky line up activating that planetary pattern, then that planetary pattern comes out, you might say. It's free to express itself, it's energized, and the performance is very good. So the concept is very simple. There's some planetary pattern, some structure or energy flow or whatever it is, some pattern of planets that's giving the ability, and when the planets in the sky, you can say, align with that, then the performance is better. Very, very simple. And in another video, I show how this works in the birth chart of Serena Williams in the 2015 Wimbledon Tennis Championship, in a game that she won, and she won that championship game. And I show how it's done there. At the end of this video, I have a link to that video on Serena Williams, and also links to two other videos if you want more information. Okay, so let's see what the planetary pattern is for Ted Williams that gives him the potential to be such an outstanding athlete, and how it gets activated on 2 days when his batting performance is exceptionally good. Okay, what is the aspect pattern that gives Ted Williams such outstanding athletic ability? Actually, there are several. Here's several somewhat interrelated patterns. One way to look at it is in the 7th harmonic chart. So here's the birth chart of Ted Williams. I'm in the Sirius 2.0 software. I'm going to select the 7th harmonic chart. Even if you have no idea what a 7th harmonic chart is, don't worry about it. It's just a chart. It's just a chart wheel. We do something to the birth chart and it becomes a harmonic chart. I explain it in other videos if you want to understand what's behind it. But you don't really need to understand the details of this to appreciate what I'm going to show you, how these patterns get activated. What happens in the birth chart of Ted Williams is that Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, and Pluto are connected with solid red or dashed red lines in the 7th harmonic chart. And I explain in a series of videos on athletic ability the research that shows that these planets connected together with red lines in the 7th harmonic chart indicates outstanding athletic ability. That may sound unbelievable even to astrologers, but we have research that strongly suggests that this is true. Now, when this pattern gets activated, his athletic performance will be outstanding. So let's look at June 25 and June 28th. These were days when his performance was very good, and see if this pattern gets activated. And to see this, we're going to do a BiWheel. We'll take the date. Let's take the first date, June 25th. I have June 25th, 2015. No, there's a typo here. June 25th, 1947. And we're going to use a time of 15 hours because games are usually in the afternoon or evening. So we'll put it around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. That'll get us reasonably close to when the game was played. And we'll do it for Boston, Massachusetts. I actually don't know if these games were played in Boston. We don't have to have the time and place of the event extremely accurate. It's good if we have it within 5 or 6 hours. Is good enough for this analysis. So this will get us pretty close to the time. We can do it in more detail if we want, and we can get the exact time, but this will be good enough for these purposes. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a BiWheel of the 7th harmonic chart for the time of the game and the 7th harmonic chart of Ted Williams. Well, this will be very clear when we do it. Okay, I've got the birth chart of Ted Williams. I just selected his 7th harmonic chart. I've already entered the data for June 25, 1947 at 3 p.m. in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm going to select the 7th harmonic chart of this game, June 25, 1947, and now I'm going to select the BiWheel. And it's important to select the BiWheel from the event, not from the birth chart, because we're going to adjust the time of this chart, and by selecting it from the event rather than the birth chart, we'll be adjusting this time. You'll see in a minute what I'm talking about. So I'm going to select the BiWheel, and I will compare on the outer ring the June 25, 1947 7th harmonic, and in the inner ring Ted Williams natal 7th harmonic. So I compare 7th harmonic to 7th harmonic. Click OK. I have different wheel styles. I like this wheel style where each wheel has its own cusps. It's just one that I happen to like. And there's the BiWheel. So I'm expecting Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, or Pluto. Those are the 4 planets to be activated. Do you see anything in the transits activating Mars? Yes. Mercury is right on it. Anything activating Mercury? Well, Mars is pretty far away, so that's probably not close enough. Jupiter, nothing here on Jupiter, but if you look across the wheel, the transiting Jupiter is exactly to the minute opposition the natal Jupiter. The natal Jupiter this is very small and probably difficult for you to read, and it gets reduced when we make the video. It's clearer in the actual program. But the natal Jupiter in this 7th harmonic chart is 8 Pisces 06. The transiting Jupiter on the day that he performs very well is 8 Virgo 06, to the minute exact opposition. And we have found in our research that same planet to same planet, like Jupiter to Jupiter, or Mars to Mars, or Sun to Sun, is fairly common. So that happens. And nothing on Pluto. So there are 2 transits that look interesting: Mercury on Mars and Jupiter opposition Jupiter. Now, question. Transiting Mercury is at 1 Cancer 30. Natal Mars 0 Cancer 40. It's very strong. It's a degree orb. These are harmonic charts. Everything's moving 7 times faster. Mercury changes speed. It goes retrograde. How do we know how long this aspect lasts? The way we know is by going to the time adjust. We go to the interactive chart adjust. And Mercury doesn't have a retrograde symbol, so it must be going direct. It's just past Mars. So we'll select 1 day, and let's go backwards. Go backwards 1 day. Mercury at 1 Cancer 30. 28 Gemini 18. So that tells us that Mercury moved about 3 degrees from 28 Gemini to 1 Cancer and was exact on this day when his performance was outstanding. Also, we notice that Jupiter is at 8 Virgo 32. It has moved almost half a degree. These are motions in a harmonic chart which are much faster than in the natal chart. So by using the time adjust, now I can just cancel out of this. I just want to show you that. We can see that this Mercury had just aspected Mars earlier in the day, so it's moving 3 degrees a day. It's very exact. The Jupiter to Jupiter is very exact. Maybe it's a coincidence, but it is interesting that we expect these planets to get activated on a day when he plays well, and two of them get activated. Is that unusual? Is that really impressive? I'm going to show you more and more information about how we determine these things. Okay, now let's do this. Oh, let me go back into the chart adjust. There's something else I want to show you. Let's move forward 3 days. He had a great batting day 3 days later. So I can go in here and type June 28th and click on apply date, or I can put in 3 days and go forward. Either way works. I'll just click forward, 3 days forward. Now I'm adjusting the current entry, which is the 7th harmonic of the event, the day that he played well. That's which is in the outer ring. I'm adjusting the outer ring chart. That's why you select it from the event, not from the natal chart. Otherwise, you'd be adjusting the natal chart. Anyway, we're adjusting the transits. Now, anything happening on June 28th, the Mercury has moved way ahead of Mars. Anything on Mercury, the Mars has aspected Mercury. This, excuse me, excuse me, this is mind-boggling. On the June 25th, Mercury was conjunct Mars. 3 days later, Mars is conjunct Mercury. If I go back 1 day, my Mars is at 18 Taurus, 15. Go earlier 1 day. It's moved 5 degrees from 13 to 18, also exact on that day. So transiting Mercury conjunct Mars on June 25th, transiting Mars conjunct Mercury. Both are Mercury-Mars, and Mercury and Mars are two of the power planets, getting activated by Mercury and Mars on the 2 days when his performance is outstanding. And you remember Jupiter is exactly opposite Jupiter on that day. And we have found in our research, same planet to same planet. So we're seeing exactly the kinds of things that we suspect might happen. Now, is this a curiosity? Does this happen every day? Am I making too much out of it? I will show you how we determine these things. But first I want to give you the basic theory. The basic theory is there are certain planets and certain configurations in the natal chart that get activated when the performance is very good. And one of the things that's somewhat shocking almost about this is that these are not ideas that astrologers typically emphasize. Something like a harmonic chart to harmonic chart to harmonic chart, and these strange looking patterns. These are all very new, very innovative ideas that we're analyzing, studying, and researching quantitatively with careful analysis, as you'll see in a few minutes as I show you more about this research, and it's actually working. So this is shocking not only to non-astrologers but to many astrologers as well. In fact, astrologers sometimes are even just as skeptical of this as non-astrologers, because the ideas are different from what's normally used. But anyway, the evidence is quite interesting. Okay, so now what we've done so far, we haven't proven anything, we haven't made a convincing argument. I'm just showing you fascinating observations, just curious, that transiting Mercury right on natal Mars, transiting Mars right on natal Mercury on these 2 days, very close to the ideas we expect to work, but it's in a harmonic chart, not in the natal chart. Okay. Now, so I've shown you the time adjust feature. I'm in the Sirius 2.0 software, and it will adjust the chart. Also, I'll show you in future videos that the composite chart of the transits and the natal are also important, and when you time adjust the composite chart, it will do it properly. So this time adjust feature is very important for this work. Okay, so we've done this. Looking at my notes here. Okay, I've explained all that. Now, just a very curious thing. I said that transiting Mercury is conjunct natal Mars in the 7th harmonic chart. what that actually means is that transiting Mercury is either conjunct 1/7, 2/7, or 3/7 to Mars, and Mars is either conjunct 1/7, 2/7, or 3/7 to Mercury. That's what it means. I can go to the natal charts and see which aspect it is. Let's do that. We'll see something rather fascinating. Let's go to the transiting natal chart instead of the transiting 7th harmonic. This is the chart at the time, pretty close to the time when Ted Williams' batting performance was very good on June 25th, 1947. And let's do a BiWheel to his natal chart. So now I'm doing something that almost all astrologers know and love, which is a BiWheel of the two charts instead of the 7th harmonic charts. So let's look at it. Here's natal Mercury at 10 Virgo. Where is transiting Mars? 26 Taurus. Well, it doesn't look like anything important. Transiting Mars 26 Taurus to 10 Virgo, what's going on there is that that's about 102 or 103 degrees. Let's see, 10, I can pull up an aspect grid, but let's just say 10 Gemini, that would be 90, plus we're about 114, 113 degrees, actually 11 Virgo. So it's 103 degrees, I mean. That's a 2/7. So Mars is 2/7. Transiting Mars is 2/7 of a circle to Mercury. And then 3 days later, the transiting Mercury, which would be a little bit later in Cancer, but right here it's 25 Cancer, to the natal Mars is also 102 degrees. So they happen to both be 2/7 aspects. So that's a curious coincidence. Transiting Mercury is 2/7 to natal Mars, and transiting Mars is 2/7 to natal Mercury. That probably creates a special resonance that not only are they both 7th harmonic, but they're similar harmonics, and during this time period in late June, he performs very well. Okay, well, I'm just showing you some curiosities, and maybe that's a little bit too advanced. Let's stick to the main point. The main point is this. Go back to this BiWheel. The main point is on these days when he performs well, transiting Mercury is conjunct Mars. 3 days later, transiting Mars is conjunct Mercury in the 7th harmonic, and on the 25th, transiting Jupiter is exactly opposite natal Jupiter. So these are possibly what's making him perform better on those days, and by studying other days, we're getting more and more confirmation that this is exactly what's happening. Okay, now let's produce a forecast for June 1947. Now I'll show you how we can test and how we can make a clear forecast. We can graph the batting performance of a batting player. We can produce a graph and just show how well that player will play. So we'll go to forecast, AstroSignature. Oh, let me make sure I'm on his natal chart. I'm producing a forecast for his birth chart. So I'm going to produce a forecast for Ted Williams for his birth chart. I'll go to forecast, AstroSignature, main forecast, and I'm going to select the month of June. June 1st, 1947 to July 1st, 1947. Why the month of June? No particular reason. I just picked it out as a month, 1 month out of his entire career to study. And Sirius already has an athletic performance forecast. Let's see what the athletic performance forecast is for the month of June 1947. I click on Begin Analysis, and I get a graph. It's going off my captured area, so I'll drag it over here. And here is the predicted athletic performance in dark blue. Athletic performance. What is this green thing? What is that? That's the actual scores. What's going on here? What's going on is that Sirius has plotted the actual batting performance and the predicted batting performance. And let me drag this over into the area I'm capturing. It tells me what the correlation is. minus 20%. Well, I called it percent to make it understandable to people who are not into statistics, but it's usually called 0.20. The correlation, the match, how well the actual batting performance compares to the predicted batting performance is a correlation of minus 2.0, which is terrible because 0 would be random. It's actually worse than random. And you can, visually it doesn't look very good. Here's June 25, 1947. That's the day that the batting performance is very high. Here's his batting performance on June 28th. See those 2 days? Also, June 18th is another day. So these 3 dates are very good. Very good batting performance compared to the rest of the month of June. Is there something that caused his batting performance to be so high? Well, we saw what it probably is. It's transiting Mercury to natal Mars, and here transiting Mars to natal Mercury. And you know what's really mind-boggling about this is that Mercury and Mars are two of the planets in that power pattern. And it's transiting Mercury and Mars, activating the natal Mercury and Mars in that pattern in the 7th harmonic chart that appears to be very important for this performance. So can we make an AstroSignature forecast and put in what we're discovering? Can we put in transiting Mars to natal Mercury in 7th harmonic, transiting Mercury to natal Mars, in did I say that right? Transiting Mercury to natal Mars and transiting Mars to natal Mercury, both in 7th harmonic. Can we put the Jupiter to Jupiter opposition in 7th harmonic? Yes. And I've done that. I'll show it to you. I made an AstroSignature called Baseball Batting for Ted Williams. Let's run it and click on Begin Analysis. And by the way, I've set the time here to 20 hours because that would be 20 hours GMT would be, what would it be, 5 or 6 in the afternoon? No, 20, it'd be 3 or 4 in the afternoon, somewhere around there. So that's not too far away from the time of the game. Okay, so I'll click on this, and I put into this AstroSignature forecast the transiting Mercury to Mars and transiting Mars to Mercury, and there's the high peak and the Jupiter. In fact, over here I can scroll down to June 25, and there it is. Here are the details. Transiting Mercury to natal Mars in 7th harmonic with a small orb. And the Jupiter. An opposition in the 7th is actually a 14th harmonic. And then there was another thing that we found, which I didn't discuss. It got a few points. So there they are. And if we go down to the 28th, there's the transiting Mars to natal Mercury. Transiting Mars to natal Mercury. And on the 25th, transiting Mercury natal Mars. Actually, the transiting Mercury natal Mars is almost out of the orb that I've given it. Gets only 3 points. Most of the prediction for the 17 points is right there. So the transiting Mars to natal Mercury is what primary thing that caused the graph to go up here. Didn't go up enough to match, but it helped get close in the right direction. So there's our prediction, and we can see our prediction is not perfect. We predicted too high, because the green is the actual, too high at the beginning of the month, still too high. Then this is pretty good. Goes up and then down and then up, not up enough, and then this matches very well. So what is the correlation value? It tells me right here it's 16%, which is 0.16. That's a lot better than minus 2.0. It's in the right direction. It's positive. I like to get correlations above 0.20 because we found, and I'll show you in a minute, more details about this. When you get above 0.20, you tend to get statistical significance in your forecast for the year. If you make a forecast for the year, it's a close enough match that Sirius will tell us that match is what's called statistically significant. Notice this 0.16 for the month of June is not statistically significant. So it tells you what the correlation is, and If it's statistically significant, it means it was unlikely to have happened by chance. This is still could have happened by chance. So what we're doing here is we're building a model. This is the model building. We're analyzing the actual performance and using BiWheels and other ways of analyzing what's going on, figuring out what was probably happening, trying to build a simple and clear formula that will then predict actual performance in years we have not analyzed yet. So this is the process of building an actual model that really works, by seeing if our theory is supported by the actual evidence. And in this case, we saw some indications that it is, so we built a forecast. So the cynics and skeptics, may say, oh, he's just finding things according to his theory. Yeah, that's what you do in research. You find things according to theory. That's how it's done. And then after you develop a solid theory based on the analysis of actual data, then you apply it to new data. But we're still in the model building phase, building the exact formula, and the progress is stunning. We're only able to do this on weekends and sometimes on evenings because we all have day jobs, everybody that's doing this research. So we don't have tons of time, but in the time we can find to do it, we make significant progress. It becomes clearer what the formula is. The correlations are getting better and better. We're simplifying the formula, making it more consistent. So we're making rapid progress in this. And I wanted to show you the stage that we're at this moment, because it's good enough at this point that it's very exciting, much more evidence-based and solid information than is normally done in astrology. Okay, back to our PowerPoint presentation. All right, I covered all that. I've got notes up here. I covered this. Now, just a little bit of information about batting performance. In case you're curious about what is that batting performance, how did you plot it? Is that the real batting performance? Well, let me tell you a little bit about that. How did I get in this graph, going back to Sirius, this green? How did I get this data into Sirius? And what kind of batting performance is it? And is it really accurate batting performance? Well, just to answer those questions real quickly, there are 4 common measures for batting performance. Actually, there are others, but these are 4 popular ones. Something called on-base percentage, something called slugging percentage, another thing called on-base plus slugging, where you combine these two, which is also sometimes called production, and then a new statistics, relatively new, called the GPA, gross production average, which averages the OBP and the slugging percentage, but weights the OBP more. These are different measures of batting performance that statisticians who specialize in baseball research have come up with. And you may be familiar with batting average. It's the most popular measure of batting performance, but from the point of view of statistics, predicting who's going to win a game, how much that batting performance influenced the overall ability of the team to win games, these 4 statistics have been found to be more useful than batting average. Okay, now, what we've done very recently, and this will become available in future versions of Sirius, but we already have developed it for our own use, is we can go to a website that has the batting performance of almost every player in every game. Believe it or not, these fanatic baseball statisticians and fans have collected the batting performance of almost every player in every game. It's put into a format that's not easily used by programs, so we wrote some software to analyze those files, pull all the data together, import it in so we can produce these graphs in the Sirius software. And you can pick any 4 of these. All 4 are available. You can use the on-base percentage, the slugging percentage, the OPS, or the GPA. It's your choice. So we have extremely accurate data from this excellent website that has this data available for free. And we have a way to import it and analyze it and see what's going on. Okay, so that gives you an idea. In future tutorial videos, I can explain all the technical details of where this website is, how it's imported, but I'm just giving you the idea of it for now. Okay, so as I mentioned, we created a AstroSignature forecast for batting performance. We're still in the process of building it. We're improving it very rapidly. As of this point, I'm making this video in October 2015. The AstroSignature, and we've only been working on this, actually testing the AstroSignature and refining it for only really a few months, because it took us so long to perfect the software for importing the data properly, adding new features to the AstroSignature forecast that we need. So much work in building, you might say, the infrastructure to be able to do this analysis. But now we're finally to the point where we're doing this analysis, and here are our current results. Currently, for 1947, these are the correlation values for each month. There are 5 months in the baseball season, part of April, but not the whole month. So this is May, June, July, August, September. Those are the correlations for each month. This is the correlation for the entire year. You get this just by running the Sirius software. If you run it for the entire baseball season, it'll tell you that's a 0.23 correlation for 1947, which has statistical significance. The p-value, as it's called, is less than 0.05. For 1948, same exact correlation value, same statistical significance. The range of correlations in 48 was greater, went up to all the way up to 0.46, but all the way down to 0. No negative correlations, but one of them is 0. In 1949, for the 5 months, those are the correlations. The correlation for the entire year is 0.24, and that is significant at 0.02. So the Sirius software will do statistical significance correlations at 0.05, 02, 01, and 001. So we're in that 0.05 to 0.02 range, but we're still in the early stages of analyzing these BiWheels and other things we analyze to see what's going on these days when he performs very well. It takes a lot of time to analyze it, and as we analyze, we explore new things. We've come up with some new insights that we're very excited about. I'll be presenting those in future videos. So we're not just randomly picking ideas and see whatever works. B, we're not just assuming that what we know is perfectly correct. We're building upon theories and refining them based on the evidence. And the full test will come after we finish developing a model that we feel confident about, and then we test it against years we haven't looked at yet. So what we're doing is we're studying 1947 to 1949 and refining this model, this AstroSignature. It takes time for two reasons. One is it takes time to do it, and number two, we only work on this a little bit each week or so. We are improving the formula. It's getting simpler. The correlations are getting higher as we keep improving it. If I make this video 4 or 5 months from now, the formula will be made more elegant, fewer arbitrary things in it. The correlations will be higher. We'll be getting closer to being able to fully test it. And when we feel the formula is very, very good, and we've gone pretty much as far as is reasonable to go, we will then do the big test, what's called a hypothesis test, and we'll see if the formula works for the 1950s and 1960s. I would love to be able to do this research all day and be able to find this out soon, but we have day jobs. I'm writing software, astrology software for our customers, and the other people on the research team have their obligations as well, which I also enjoy doing, and I'm in a good lifestyle here. Okay, so I've mentioned this. We've been putting a lot of time and energy into this. The tools are ready. We're now building these AstroSignatures. It's very, very exciting. We could possibly be on the way to a major breakthrough in astrology. We might actually be showing that you could predict behavior. We'll find out. In any case, this is real research. We're really testing it. We've got real data to compare to, and our impression is that it appears that we're doing it. Maybe it's an illusion. We'll find out. Certainly what we're doing has much more evidence behind it, much more clarity and consistency by far beyond what is normally done in astrology, which is really just anecdotal evidence. Okay. Who knows? Perhaps baseball managers, scouts, owners, or statisticians are going to take an interest in this research. Maybe they'll want to get involved in supporting it, or maybe making it proprietary. Who knows? Perhaps not. I'm guessing probably not, because the idea of astrology actually being able to predict behavior is so way out of the box. It might seem unrealistic. But if our research continues to get positive results, and we do hypothesis tests, we will be doing them eventually, and we get positive results, then I'm sure that academics and business people are going to become interested. Maybe not before then. But anyway, just to share what's going on, how the research is done. Right now, it's a small team of people. It's me, Linda Berry, and Stephen Wade. So 3 of us are doing this research. So I want to thank them for their participation. And here are the links to 3 other videos. The first one, I have a click here to watch the video on how to determine athletic ability. Because before we forecast athletic ability, first we find the pattern in the person's chart that gives athletic ability. And I've got a series of videos. So this video here is actually a link to a whole series of videos that explains this. Several hours of videos that explain how we do this and the research behind it. Here's another example of predicting athletic performance. This is the Serena Williams Wimbledon Championship game in 2015 that I mentioned. And here's a link on astrological research in general, a whole course that I've created on how to conduct research in astrology. If you haven't seen that yet, you might find that interesting. So that's where we are at this moment, my friends. We're so excited. This is just unbelievable. We have data, tons of data to test. We're finding things. The pieces of the puzzle appear to be coming together. The biggest obstacle we have now is, frankly, time. That we're all engaged in our normal lives and responsibilities. So when we find time, we work on this some more, and as we move further along, I will be presenting more videos. Also in, 2017, in January 2017, there will be a conference called the Kepler Conference in Florida. You can go to thekeplerconference.org, and I'll be presenting the results of the research as we have it by then. That's over a year in the future. We'll have really outstanding, we'll be much further along in this research than we are now. Okay, very exciting stuff. Astrology might actually predict behavior, believe it or not, and we actually have the tools to do this research now, and it's not that difficult to do. So very exciting times. Thank you for listening, my friends. God bless. Namaste.